What's up, YouTube? I'm Guy. Today we're revisiting a watch that was featured in one of my most viewed videos. Of course, it's the Seiko SKX009. Now at the time, early 2017, I considered this one of my favorite watches. A lot has changed in 2.5 years. I've grown as a watch collector and I've learned a lot about the hobby and the SKX. Since then, I've been exposed to hundreds of watches, from the entry level to the ultra luxury. Seiko as a brand has evolved, and so has the industry as a whole. As they say, time stands still for no one, and with the passage of time, so changes a person's perspective and their opinions. So, what is my opinion of the Seiko SKX009 2 years later? Well, frankly, it's not a very good watch. Let's be honest, the Seiko SKX009 has as many shortcomings as it has strengths. But I still love it. This video is sponsored by watchtowear.com, an online marketplace and auction platform for dealers and collectors to buy and sell watches. Now through August 15th, 2019, all new registered users are automatically entered to win a $200 cash rebate towards their next watch purchase. The Seiko SKX is a flawed watch. It's plagued with small but annoying cosmetic quality control issues. The bracelet, with its hollow end links and stamped metal friction lock clasp, fall way behind other similarly priced watches. The 7S26 movement that runs the timepiece is an aging design that doesn't keep time particularly well. The bezel action, it's what I would describe as spongy. The screw-down crown tends to be gritty. The face is a simple and pedestrian printed dial, lacking high-polished and applied markers that you might find on a lot of alternative competitive models. It lacks a high-quality sapphire crystal, and the case finishing is good, but honestly nothing special. Based on that description, the Seiko SKX009 kind of sounds like a hot mess, and yet it isn't. Few watches have captured the hearts and minds of the watch collector and enthusiast like the Seiko SKX009. It's often compared to the Rolex Submariner, a watch that costs 40 to 50 times more than the SKX. It's not compared to the Submariner because it's even remotely close to the quality of the Rolex, but because the SKX is an iconic and historically important timepiece, just like the Rolex Submariner. The SKX009 has a history and a heritage rooted in Seiko brand dive watches that goes back to their very first dive watch, the 62 MAS from 1965. The 62 MAS is a highly sought after and wildly popular vintage dive watch, and in the future I think the SKX will be regarded the exact same way as this very collectible model. The Seiko SKX and the 7S26 automatic movement that runs the watch came to market in 1996 and replaced its predecessor, the Seiko Reference 7002. A similar diver, and is something of an icon in its own right. So, what makes the SKX such a special watch? And I do think it is a special watch. Well, that's complicated. You see, by today's standard, it is a relatively low-quality watch. Like I said, it probably has more shortcomings than it has strengths. But it does have strengths. First, it is at its heart a tool watch, designed for task. In this case, the task at hand is recreational and perhaps even professional scuba diving. And while nearly all divers today favor a dive computer to a mechanical watch, such was not the case in the mid-1990s, when this watch was released. It was an affordable and well-executed tool for the job. As we all know, it's an ISO 6425 dive watch, a set of standards and features regulated by the International Organization for Standardization. While you can look up the exact list of what those standards are and the requirements needed for a watch to meet them, know that for a watch to wear the word diver or dive watch, those requirements must be met. Most watches at this price point, and even many well above it, do not meet the ISO 6425 standards for a dive watch. That this affordable tool watch does is actually fairly impressive. But in today's day and age, that doesn't really matter. maybe any of us need a true dive watch. Still, it is kind of cool to know that you have a tool that's up for task should you ever need to use it. Ultimately, for me, what makes the SKX a special watch is the design. Style and aesthetics are first on my list of importance when it comes to selecting a watch. When I look down on my wrist, I need to enjoy what I see, and there's something about the uniquely Seiko design that always brings a smile to my face. Yes, the bracelet is fairly low quality, but it's also extremely comfortable on the wrist. It feels cheap, but it's never failed me. There are plenty of watches out there with a better bracelet, but this one just works. Much like the Rolex Submariner, the dial and the handset is perfectly legible and equally well-balanced in its visual presentation. I will say that I do prefer the dial on the Made in Japan or J version of this watch, simply because you get one extra line of text on the dial below the orange diver's 200-meter line that reads 21 joules. It's a small thing, but I think that it balances the design nicely, and the standard version of the watch lacks this line of text. Seiko is legendary when it comes to their lume. The glow-in-the-dark luminescence of the Seiko Lume Bright is very bright and extremely long-lasting. It's second to none at its price point, and at prices well above it. Truth be told, though, I'm not all that concerned with lume. I rarely need to read my wristwatch in total darkness, but it is fun to charge the lume up with a flashlight and watch it glow. I've long been on record as saying that I hate the more entry-level Seiko movements. My experience with them after having had access to a large number of these watches over the years is that they're very inconsistent timekeepers. Their accuracy varies wildly, and even after regulating them, they often drift out of time and become less and less accurate. That said, they are very easy to adjust. I can do it at home in just a few minutes, and I've never seen one outright fail me. Still, I really don't like them. Now, on the wrist, this watch is an absolute pleasure. The shape of the case is such that it will fit most wrist sizes. It's very versatile in that regard. It's just one of the main things that I love about this watch. With a lug-to-lug length of just about 46 millimeters and an overall diameter around 42 millimeters, it really does wear perfectly. Yes, it is a bit thick, and because the bezel doesn't slope down, it feels especially thick compared to other dive watches. But at least for me, it's really not a problem. This watch just flat out has a ton of character, and that's why, despite all the flaws and shortcomings, I'm still a huge fan of it. With 200 meters of water resistance, I can be sure that it's going to stand up to anything I could possibly throw at it. The day and date complication are two of the most useful complications on a watch in general. The elapsed time bezel serves me well for all manner of time tracking tasks. While my favorite model is the SKX009 with its Pepsi red and blue bezel, there are several variations available, and there's even some models that come in at a slightly smaller size should you need something with a bit more of a compact form factor. In the end, yes, my opinion and my perspective on this watch has changed over the last 2.5 years. I've realized that it's not the best watch out there, not by a long shot. Even Seiko's sister brand Orient has better alternatives for similar prices in terms of quality and features with watches like the Ray and the Mako. However, I still prefer the SKX. But despite all the shortcomings, the quality control issues, the poor timekeeping of the movement, the complaints with the bracelets, I like this watch more than ever. And I hope to always have one in my watch box for those occasions when I want to wear something distinctly and classically Seiko. As always, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you'd like to help support the channel, there's a number of ways that you can help me out. Check out the description of this or any video that I've ever done. There's links to my social media accounts. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. There's also a link to my Patreon. And if you'd like to help me out financially, donations there are always appreciated. A big thanks to the guys that have been supporting me and supporting what I do here on Patreon. I really do appreciate it. Finally, you'll find my Amazon affiliate link in the description as well. If you want to help me out financially, but you don't want to spend any extra money, just go ahead and click my Amazon link before you do your shopping, and I get a small commission with each and every transaction. If you like something that I've reviewed and you're thinking about buying it, or anything else for that matter, click that link first. A big thanks to everyone that has been using my affiliate link. Well, that's going to do it for today, so until the next video, bye now.